Well, welcome. Welcome to this celebration of the magnificent transformation of Frederick Clay Bartlett's Tree of Life Mural and all its surrounding artwork. All of us with Friends of Historic Second Church are just thrilled to see you here today. We are all smiles to be able to welcome you and share with you our joy and excitement in this wonderful restoration. My name is Linda Miller. I'm the president of Friends of Historic Second Church. Friends, as we call it, is a not-for-profit organization separate from the church whose mission is to preserve and restore the art and architecture of Chicago's only National Historic Landmark church, and to engage neighbors and the world in sharing our passion for its beauty and significance. The plan for today is to thank everyone who's been involved in this wonderful restoration project. We're going to have some question and answer session with the folks who are up here who did the work on this wonderful transformation. And then I have a few questions to start it off, and then I'll open it up to you to ask questions if you would like. We'll follow the Q&A with some refreshments in Fellowship Hall, which is also newly done, restored, and a champagne or a Prosecco toast to everyone involved in this wonderful project. And then my deepest thanks go to the people who are assembled here, the artists and artisans who made this project possible. They worked on this for 4 months, and it truly is a transformed part of the church. The scaffolding, which we can't ignore the scaffolding, there he is, was erected by Gilco Scaffolding, and they're represented today by Jeremy Nelson, who was the foreman on the job, and now has been promoted to project manager because he did such a good job here. The light fixtures, these lovely, lovely light fixtures were cleaned and rewired by Art Historic Products, represented by CEO Tom Stemmen, and let me get the title right, Manufacturing Manager Brad Stemmen. National Decorating Service handled the painting of the arch and the side walls, cleaned all the woodwork, all the woodwork in the little places that they had to crawl around to get to, and then mounted the new acoustic curtain. They're represented today by Vice President Andy Hart. And then Karma Conservation performed the magic of transforming this mural, cleaning it with all hand done. They did the mural, they cleaned the 4 heralding angels and the metal organ screen and replaced pieces that were missing on the organ screen. Here from Parma are President Elizabeth Kendall, Senior Conservator John Salas, and Senior Conservator Eva Deborah, who's just back from Southeast Asia. The 4th member of their team, Peter Schoenemann, couldn't be with us today. He's off on another job, but he did send his regrets. They were a wonderful team. In fact, all of these people were a wonderful team. It was really fun to see them. You know, Parma was here for nearly, fully 3 months almost, working with Andy's staff. And they say, I'm going to work here today. And they say, well, we'll work over here then today. And they just work so well together. Gilco, when we needed extra pieces added so that we could get to parts of the mural that couldn't get to from the existing scaffolding, they came back and added little side vents for us to get into. It was a wonderful, wonderful team, and I'm very appreciative of all your work. Thank you. So, without further ado, let's ask them some questions. How did they do this work? It is pretty amazing to think about. So, the first thing, I think, is the scaffolding. How many of you saw the scaffolding when it was up? So, most of you. It was like a building within a building. Yeah. So my first question is for you, Jeremy. And I'm going to ask a question, then I'll hand you the microphone. So it was really complicated scaffolding, at least from our standpoint. You've probably had others. You had an engineer's drawings, but then here on site, it was up to you to figure out how to turn those engineer's drawings into reality. What went through your mind as you were doing that, and how did you make it happen?
So, not right, well, right as speaking, a lot went through my mind. It was talking with Linda and discussing the needs that they're going to need for the scaffolding, the access for the church, to accommodate everybody during the whole process. But taking those drawings, essentially, what I did is I just put them in my head, and I just kind of started breaking them down and adjusting them as need be to fit for the church, to fit for the structure, for everything like that. It was, like I've told Linda, it was probably it's in my top 5 builds I've ever done, steel scaffolding. Very complicated. There was a lot of things we were battling throughout the entire process. Originally, there were supposed to be stair towers coming from this first floor, we'll call it, going up. After being here and looking at everything, I realized it's not going to be feasible, so we kind of reconfigured it, and that's why we gave the access off the balconies on each side to the stair towers to be able to access the entire scaffold and levels throughout.
And that didn't do any...
No, the weights were mainly for the cantilever that we had to do. As far as that stair, that didn't affect the weights or anything. It was more or less just to accommodate for the church to maintain access to the doors and have that open at all times as much as we can, and have as minimal equipment on the ground blocking anything during services and things like that. Yes, we reshore in the basement as well as in the pantry for all the weight of the scaffold that we had to bring it down to greater, to ground level, to support everything.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay, so
It was really 3 weeks of building scaffolding before we could even get up there. So it tells you how many pipes were here. Okay, let's turn to the mural. Elizabeth, you haven't been able to get up there. There wasn't scaffolding before you got to work, so you didn't get up close to it. What were you expecting, and were there any surprises when you actually got close to the mural and saw what you were having to do?
We'd all seen the mural without the scaffolding before, and the mural was very, very dark, very brown. We couldn't really see any of the figures very well, and we pretty much thought that it was going to be a basic cleaning of a lot of dirt and grime, a century worth of dirt and grime, fossil fuel heating. We didn't, usually murals, when they were done around this time, were not varnished, so we didn't think that we would find a varnish on it, and we didn't think we would find any overpaint or former restorations, because there were no records in the church that it had ever been worked on. So we were very excited to be, the first people to work on it since it was painted. Once we started working on it, well, one, we found a signature from 1953 from a man who had restored it. So somehow they got scaffolding up in the 50s, and we did find varnish on it, and we found a lot of overpaint on it. Most of the overpaint was coming original, which was great, and the mural was in very, very good condition, which was also a blessing. But those were 2 factors that we certainly didn't think we would encounter, and made it a little more difficult. difficult, but that much more rewarding also. And I just want to add something about the scaffolding, that we have all worked on scaffolding for 20-some years, and the scaffolding here was very safe and comfortable, and we really loved it, so thank you very much.
So let me ask John a question. How do you divide the work up between 4 of you? Who does what? Do you have specialties? All right.
I'll answer. I think we really don't, Linda. We all work together as a team. There are 4 main people up with us at Parma, and we all do everything because conservation, one step builds upon another. If the first step isn't done correctly, the next step won't be done correctly. So therefore, if we all start at the beginning, and then we all clean, we all fill, we all in-paint, we all have the responsibility of them, making it look as great as it can be. Did I answer?
It really is. They're all working up there. There is a lot of what we call parge on the mural. It's a 3-dimensional pieces of it. It's plaster, or I think it's plaster. Maybe that's not the right word. There's a lot of 3-dimensional features out there. Eva, you were the one fixing those that were missing, the ones that fell down during the cleaning. What goes into putting in a new piece of that 3-dimensional parge? How do you do it?
When we started working on it, some of the 3-dimensional pieces were missing. They fell under the scaffolding. So first we checked on the rest of the pieces. Some of the pieces were also, the attachment wasn't very strong, so while we were cleaning, very particular, each piece very detailed cleaning with many pieces, we had to be very careful because some of them actually were reattaching, and a few of them fell also, so we had to go down the scaffolding and look for them in a few inches of dust, over 100 years old dust, so that was kind of an adventure. We found the pieces and we found the places where they were attached previously. We glued them back with our reversible conservation glue, and the ones that were missing we reconstructed with our 2-part conservation epoxy and attached them with the reversible glue back on the wall. And then we had to color them with kind of an aqua color, and then some of them they were gold originally, some of them they were silver, so we were coloring them according to the original coloring. And they came out amazingly bright and emerging from the dark corners of the mural, and they just were very pleasant to work on, very detailed and very nice satisfaction in the result.
She was making them and squishing them with her hands. I think we have, for posterity, we have Eva's hands or fingerprints over there. I'm going to wait. I've got another question for John. I'm going to wait for a minute for that. So Tom and Brad, I'm going to ask you about these lights, but we've also just done the chandeliers. So what condition were these light fixtures in when you took them down? And how do you clean an old light fixture like this?
So the fixture condition, actually, the chandeliers are mostly steel. They have some brass and red metal in them. But since you can't touch them up there, they really haven't been handled or any pieces broken. So that part we were very fortunate. To clean them, we take them down into the basement of our building and do a thorough cleaning, just as you would imagine, with brushes and soap. They were very dark, and because they have steel, there was a fair amount of corrosion. So we do a deep cleaning on that, and then we clean the brass and the red metals. And the last step in what we did was to apply a clear lacquer coating, and that just really makes them, really makes the color come out, but it also helps preserve them, and that corrosion is held at bay rather than to continue to get more corrosion and that chalky look that they had.
So I have one question. Angel isn't here, but maybe I'll go to Jeremy. So we were almost finished with, everything had been conserved, cleaned, the scaffolding was coming down, and it was about maybe a third of the way down, maybe halfway down.
Well, I think a little over.
Yeah.
We were a little over. We're just below the arch.
Yeah, just below the arch, just below the heralding angels. I arrived about 9 o'clock one morning. Jeremy and all the crew are out in the parking lot, and I got out of my car, I looked at their faces, and I said, oh my God, what happened? His face was like this. Angel, one of the crew, was standing like this. In the process of taking down the scaffolding, one of these 8-foot poles had touched the horn on this angel, this one right here, the second one in on this side, on the south side, and it had come loose. If it had fallen to the ground, they're made out of very light wood, it would have shattered, it would have been totally broken. You want to tell the story of what happened?
No, because it's horrible. So that particular horn we've been battling it since day one when we came here. It's been our nemesis with the whole scaffolding. I vividly remember watching this happen. I was actually standing over here, and like Linda said, Angel was up there, he took the one horizontal, and he accidentally nicked that horn. And in the process, he's got this horizontal in 2 hands. The horn fell, he lets go of the horizontal but holds onto it with 1 hand, and in the meantime, he was able to catch that horn with his foot right on the edge of our scaffold to keep it from falling down while holding on to the equipment so nothing falls any farther than what the horn did. Nothing more got damaged, and I remember just when it happened, I'm like, I waited for Linda to show up, and we all just walked out, heads down. Felt horrible because we're like in the home stretch of getting the scaffold removed and getting everything ready for the Christmas service, and that happened. And I was just, it was horrible. It was horrible. Parma came through,
Yeah.
We hurried up, redid the scaffold, got a deck up there for them, got everything ready so they can reattach it, touch everything up, got hit everything handled within that same day.
Yeah.
But it was my nemesis.
While Angel was holding on to this big pole, pipe, whatever you call it, and he's got the horn with 1 foot. He's on 1 foot on the scaffolding holding this stuff. So it's really pretty miraculous that the horn did not fall. And how did you reattach it, John? I called Parma in a panic, and John was here within 20 minutes. That's the kind of teamwork we had. How did you reattach it?
I have to say one thing about building scaffolding like that, to watch these guys build, they're building a scaffold in a china shop. So it's really quite a job. Reattaching that bugle, they're all just sort of hanging up there. Everything's sort of they're very delicate. So I inserted wooden pins into the hand and the trunk, the bugle, and then used a 2-part conservative epoxy to secure it, and it won't.
And it's up there. Thank you. Yeah, They went the extra mile.
So that particular horn, why it's our nemesis, on the install, one of my coworkers' hammers actually touched it and broke a little piece off. So I went up there, and I don't remember the gentleman's name who was with me that day.
Jim Peters.
Jim Peters.
Was it? Okay. And we were holding the piece to like see where it broke from, and was not touching anything, just kind of seeing where it went, and it fell. It fell off, and I was actually able to catch it before it fell any farther to the ground or anything. I caught it, and it's like, I did the handoff here. So that's why I say that particular horn or bugle is our nemesis, because we've had, since day one, issues with it.
But isn't it amazing?
Let's finish up and get out of here.
But isn't it amazing? I mean, this incredible scaffolding, and as John said, in a china shop, I mean, you're among all this incredible art, and that's the only thing that happened, which really wasn't a catastrophe. It was safe. I mean, nothing really was, it's fine. So it's pretty amazing. Now to you. Yes, everything is new, including the fabric. So there are 2,600 organ pipes behind this, and that was part of the challenge with the scaffolding. You couldn't put anything back there where the pipes were. Previously, that had been a linen cloth that had been there for not sure how long, but it was in tatters. So Jeremy helped me take that down, and it went directly to the garbage. Mike Shago is our organist. Mike's here, there he is back there. And he ordered some new acoustic curtain. So it's not material, it's more sort of, it's two-dimensional, doesn't fold. And so we have this wonderful new acoustic curtain material that was installed by Andy's staff, and they did a really wonderful, it was not an easy job, but they did a wonderful job. So, further questions? All the light bulbs that we have here now, thanks to Mike Shago, are LED bulbs, so they're new, save energy. We've tried to replicate the look and the wattage of what would have been here, but it's a working church, so it's still dark. I mean, those are not real light, but they're probably lighter, giving off more light than they would have given back in 1901. I mean, it's a balancing act between an active church and having the right look. When Mr. Treehouse was here in 2018, when we were dedicating the peace window, he walked in and said, "Oh my goodness, they're too bright." So they are too bright for the era, but they're not as bright as you would have them, so it's a compromise. Another question? How'd you decide on? Did people hear the question? For national decorating and the arch and the walls, how did you decide the colors?
Bill Tyler, of course, is very much involved with that. But trying to match the original from after cleaning the color, coming up from a Benjamin Moore color deck. One of the colors in there, tinted, tone it, lighter, darker. We just basically, whatever the formula is for colorants to go into making a color, add 50% of that colorant to the white base paint, from a 50%, 75, or even lower 25%, for just the varying shades of that applied samples and then see, hey, what's working best for us on that.
And not everything is the same color, right? Like the actual inside of the arch and then the outside of the arch are different colors.
Yes, and even the mortar joints.
Subtle, but different. So the question for Parma was, I think twofold. The angels there, the procession of angels, several of the faces were deteriorated, had been worked on, but not very artfully. How did you do that? And then when you were doing some in painting, how did you decide on color?
That's a really interesting question because I can't really see from here. The last two angels on the right up here were completely overpainted their faces, and when we took the overpaint off, it was not a pretty picture underneath, so we had to decide what to do. And we had restored this balcony mural up here 2 years ago, I believe, and one of the angels facing there was completely overpainted also, and when we took the overpaint off, we saw the traces of the original, and the original on the right was a mirror image of the angel's face on the left. And we started looking at the other balcony murals and saw that that's how the artist had painted a lot of the figures, just mirror images. So we took the mirror images of the two angels on this left side and traced them to the two on the left, and then just very minimally, made the faces. Peter, who isn't here, actually did that. He did a phenomenal job, just meticulous, not too much. Our goal is sort of less is more. We don't want to put too much in. And as far as the in-painting, I mean, we all have so many years of experience. Also there, less is more. We don't want to overpaint anything. If something is missing, like if there's a fill, of course we put the same color back. Otherwise, it's just sort of minimal to connect the dots, sort of, to make it all come together. There wasn't a ton of it, as you remember, Megan, because the mural was in fairly good condition, except for some of the robes. There was, a lot of overpaint, missing paint. But it's a question of good taste and doing very, very little, tiny brushes.
Tiny brushes, lots and lots of elbow or wrist action. Other questions, and then I think we have time for maybe one more. It's plaster. And it had always been that sort of bronze color, and that's another one where we debated the color and tried several different variations and came up with that. And then after the painting, Aaron did some touch up with sort of making it a little bit brighter or a polish on it, sort of. So it looks lovely. Okay. So I think that's it for our questions. We are going to move to Fellowship Hall, where we will raise a toast to all these folks who did the work and made this beautiful transformation possible, and to all of you.